everybody, and welcome to another Mind of Marlin Treetop Talk. The ducks are fed, the chickens are fed. Now it's time to feed your head. The election is over, but the division is every bit as present as it was prior to the election. Republicans are supposed to be fiscally conservative. Am I right so far? Clinton left a budgetary surplus for Bush of $236 billion. When Bush ended his term, he left a $1.3 trillion deficit and the 2008 recession to Obama. The Republican Bush got us into the quagmire wars of Iraq and Afghanistan. Obama and Biden took the recession and deficit and turned it around, leaving Trump a booming economy. Trump will be leaving Biden a pandemic out of control and a deficit that has been tripled. But none of that apparently matters to the GOP supporters because they voted for Trump again. And as far as they're concerned, Democrats are going to plunge the nation into a socialist hellhole, even though the evidence is quite to the contrary. But people have extremely short attention spans, which are getting shorter every day. And you can see my piece about the de-evolution of America to learn more about that. The GOP will have a new logo. Instead of an elephant, it will be a condom because it allows for inflation, gives you a false sense of security, and it covers a lot of pricks. Now, if a friend of yours lied to you 10 times, would you believe them on the 11th time? What if you caught them lying to you 20 times? Would you believe them the 21st? What about 100 times? Would you believe them the 101st time? Trump is on record for having lied over 20,000 times, which can only mean two things. He's living in an alternative reality with his alternative facts, or he knows exactly what he's doing and brainwashing his believers. Joseph Goebbels said, quote, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only if for such a time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its power to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state." Now, many of you may have heard the name, but don't really know who Paul Joseph Goebbels was. Well, let me tell you. He was a German Nazi politician and the Reich Minister of Propaganda of Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945. He was Adolf Hitler's closest and most devoted associate. Now, I don't think Trump knows this from school, but it would be just the sort of inside information that Putin would have given him on the side. Just say it enough times and they'll believe you. Trump called the press the enemy of the people, which is a term liberally used by Stalin. By calling the media fake news enough times, which it has been 2,000 times since he's taken office, people believe that. So he has delegitimized the only thing that was keeping any politician in check, a free press. It worked. It worked. In this, Donald was successful. So Trump supporters would rather have a totalitarian regime like Russia than a democratic socialist state like Denmark. I get it. So the facts aren't going to change the conversation because data can't be agreed upon. For those who say there are two sides to every argument, well, this gives legitimacy for genocide and hate crimes. Yes, he went into the Walmart and shot up a bunch of Americans and murdered them, but there's two sides to every story. Yes, the guy planted himself in a Las Vegas hotel and killed over 50 people, but there's two sides to every story. So let's move past the conversation because those who support Trump don't want to hear any fake news that contradicts their alternative reality. They don't like Facebook and Twitter, so they're going to go over to Parler. The name of that is so out of character for this crowd who are migrating there. Parler? None of these people would recognize a parlor if they were standing in one. Why not call it the barn or the bar or the rumpus room? But parlor? But I have a solution. To move past the street protests and the conflicts, let's just go straight to the cage matches, pitting Proud Boys and Antifa in a tap-out contest. I mean, Ultimate Fighting has been around for years, and these opponents have nothing to fight about except bragging rights and winning prize money. Those are what Ultimate Fighting people do. But if we give the Boogly Boys and the left-wing radicals a chance to go mano-a-mano, they have something more to fight about than just pride and money. They're fighting for a cause, what they believe in. It will have meaning. Seeing teams face off on a field of play, be it basketball, football, rugby, it's void of the passion and fury that can only be whipped up by a zealot embracing their cause. Bloodlust will sell. I mean, look at the video games where you can go into a fantasy world and shoot up as many people as possible. Along with the cage matches, which is just one-on-one, let's start up like paintball leagues or whatever, the right-wing radicals against the left-wing radicals, and watch them shoot each other up in a virtual kind of way. I mean, the Hunger Games had a huge audience, as did Rollerball. There can be a point system for each killing and maiming. The closer you get to your opponent, the greater the score. So stabbing the other guy with a rubber knife gains more points than, say, taking him out from 300 yards with a telescopic rifle. Of course, there'd be a truce period between each round where they can trade MRI meals or cigarettes or joints. There could be arm wrestling during this period or tug-of-war where the losing side gets pulled into a big pit of pig shit. That would give him even more reason to want to win. It won't solve anything, but it will put all of that energy into something that people can get behind and create huge ratings. I mean, look at how fucking crazy they are about soccer in Brazil or the UK, and that's just the damn ball they're kicking around. Of course there needs to be a women's league, and of course they would be paid less, as it happens. Or to really show off our culture and our sexism, they get paid more when they wear less clothes. The more skin they show, the more money they make, and viewers can be tipping them like what happens in online cam rooms right now. Is it sexist? Yes, it is. Will it sell? Since when does sex doesn't sell? And there could be evangelical teams that remain chaste, covered head to toe, like Muslim women in the Middle East. Yeah, I guess they didn't know how much they had in common with Christian zealots. So Christian zealots go up against Islamic zealots. Many of them don't even know what they're angry about as far as policy goes. Most government only affects people on the local level. Most people, right and left, want clean water to swim and fish in. Most people, right or left, want clean air to breathe. Most people, right or left, want to have a living wage. Most people, right or left, want to have access to food and toilet paper in the stores. Most people, right or left, don't really understand the need to still be in Afghanistan 17 years later. If we could offer a debate or conversation that would be televised on all the major networks, and a list made of people can agree on, and that list will get longer and longer. So you have someone from the right and someone from the left. And the moderator asking sensible questions. Do you think you pay too much for health insurance? Yes or no? Do you want to see some kind of mass transit where you live? Yes or no? Would you like your kids to have a better education? Yes or no? Do you think you pay too much money at the gas pump? Yes or no? And on. So people on the right and people on the left can see they have more in common than they realize. Then they can start sharing what is commonly known as common sense, which in today's world is not so common. Thanks for tuning in and watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you enjoyed it and share it with friends. And aloha, everybody. We'll see you next time.